Muscatine City Council will come to order. Fran, would you conduct a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmembers Lorette.
Present.
Fitzgerald.
Present.
Natvick. Hotting.
Present.
Bynum.
Present.
Phillips. Present. Spread.
Present.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you, Fran. Folks, would you stand and join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, if there was anyone in council chambers that has an issue they'd like to discuss with council that's not on the agenda, this would be the time to come to the podium and state your name and address. Very good, we'll move on. Item 5, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Now, I would like to add a footnote to this. Just a few minutes ago, it came to my attention that one of the appointees, item 9A from the mayor's desk, Daniel Mack, was nominated for the Historic Preservation Commission. It was discovered that, or determined that he is not eligible. He lives in the county, not in the city. So, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Phil, and a second?
Second.
Second, Mark. Any discussion, council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, moving along, item 7, public hearing. This public hearing concerns the proposed Bond and Schley pumping station renovations. The estimated cost for the project is approximately $200,000. There is currently $300,000 budgeted for the renovation of these two lift stations and improvements to the sloop pumping building. Prior to any formal action by City Council, a public hearing is required. Now is the time for the public to comment.
Move to close.
Move to close by Osama. I need a second.
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Bob. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Moving down to item 10 from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the final plat of the replat of Lot 1 of Lakeview Estates. The property owner has submitted a replat that would combine the original Lot 1 with the southern 75 feet of the partial to the north and vacate the utility easement along the north line of the original Lot 1. The intent is to construct a single-family home. The subdivision is located in Muscatine County, but falls within the two-limit requiring City Council's approval. The city's Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommends the City Council approve the final plat. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
That Tom, okay, and a second, Jeanette. Any discussion, council? This is a roll call vote, starting with Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item B, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing on a request to vacate certain utility easements at the former National Guard Armory at 1421 Park Avenue. The new owners of this property, as well as the parcel located directly north of it, are requesting the vacation of two existing utility easements. It is the applicant's intent to combine these two parcels and relocate the utility easements of the larger parcel. The Planning and Zoning Commission is unanimously recommending the vacation of the utility easements. Prior to any action by City Council, a public hearing is required. This public hearing will be held on Thursday, July 5th, 2012 at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So move, Your Honor.
That would be Bob, and a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Scott. Any discussion, council? Also a roll call vote, starting with Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott. Phil.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
And Jeanette.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. From the city administrator, presented for city council's consideration is a resolution approving the plans, specifications, form a contract, cost estimate, and setting bid opening date for the rehabilitation of the Bond and Schley pumping stations. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Tom, and a second?
Second.
Second, Jeanette. Any discussion, council? This also is a roll call vote, beginning with Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item B, presented for city council's consideration is a resolution approving the contract and bond for the 2012 Cedar Street Utility Project. City council took action at the June 7th, 2012 city council meeting to award the contract for this project to Brandt Construction in the amount of $381,599.40. At this time, city council is being asked to approve the contract and bond. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Scott.
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Phil. Any discussion, council?
I was wondering if we could get a description of what the difference was between the base bid and the alternate. There's two different bids here, and what the difference was between the two.
John Lutz, city engineer. The base bid and the alternate bid, you mean as far as just what they included?
Yeah.
Well, the reason to have the base bid was we wanted to bid the project with one design, which included concrete storm sewer, but provide alternates for certain areas that we would allow construction of HDPE pipe for storm sewer. And then also on the water main for an alternate to allow HDPE for the water main, so that we would have those options once we looked at the numbers as to what we would use. So then when we looked at the base bid straight across the board, it was pretty much even as to who the bidder would be, but when we considered the alternates and using the HDPE water main, there was roughly a $20,000 difference to make Brandt the low bidder.
And
So
that's the
then-
one we're accepting.
That's the one we're accepting. Yep.
Any other questions or discussion, council? This is a roll call vote as well, beginning with Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
And Osama.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item C, presented for city council's consideration is a resolution awarding the contract for the Art Center boiler replacement project. Bids for both the City Hall and the Art Center boilers were received in March 2012 with a low bid from J.L. Brady Company in the amount of $122,279 for the City Hall boiler and $76,084 for the Art Center boiler. The Art Center received funding from the Iowa Office of Energy Independence in the amount of $16,886. In order to receive the funding, the city is required to enter into the contract with J.L. Brady before June 30th, 2012. It is staff's recommendation that the Art Center's boiler project proceed and the local share of the project costs finalized at a later date. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Phil.
Aye.
And second, Tom? Any discussion, council?
Mayor, I do have one question. Reading here, in order to receive the funding, the city is required to enter into the contract with J.L. Brady. Was there only one company that that bidded for the boilers? Why do we have to go with J.L. Brady instead of company X, Y, or Z?
Because company X, Y, and Z were high bidders, and J.L.
That's-
Brady was the low
okay.
bid. for both projects.
Excellent, thank you.
And J.L. Brady agreed to extend the date of acceptance until June 30th.
Yeah. And it was part of our budget, is that not correct?
Except this is over. If you note, the last paragraph in the memo from Nancy identifies various funding sources. Our preferred funding source will be the TIF proceeds, bond proceeds from the Riverfront project. We believe we'll have additional proceeds there as well. Nancy has outlined 3 other alternatives should those funds not be available. We're waiting to hear from the Army Corps exactly how much we're going to have left over. And in addition, for both of these projects, we'll be receiving rebates from Alliant Energy as well. And Alliant will be coming here in the near future to provide a check for all of the different rebates that we've received here recently: Art Center, City Hall, the Clark House, and a few others, the fire station as well. So,
Thank you.
That's in addition to the grants.
in addition to.
Council, any other questions or discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote as well, beginning with Phil.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item D. And there is a little background on this. It's a resolution approving the development agreement with R.L. Fridley Theaters Incorporated. Greg, did you want to take the floor at this point?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to run through a couple of the changes real quick. Council should have a copy on the desk as well as was included on the website earlier today, and I've sent out a memo indicating or highlighting the changes, of which there's not very many, and you'll note that the amount is still $3 million as was in the original agreement. Otherwise, we'd have to hold a public hearing and start the process over. But the process that we utilized allowed us to pick up where we left off, and I'm going to highlight those changes quickly and then open it up for questions. Again, in Section 2A, you'll note the items that the developer has agreed to construct as part of the project. None of that has changed. As part of this, you'll note on page 4, under Section 10B1, theater payments, you'll note $1.5 million. That was 1.4 in the original contract. And then on page 6, you'll note that the outlot payment maximum is $1.5 million. That was $1.6 million in the last contract. So it's still a total of $3 million overall for the theater lot and for the 6 outlots for the theater. I'm going to back up to page 5, and you'll see the schedule that's outlined in the contract. You'll note that is also slightly changed, and the second draft of the contract shows exactly how that has changed. But the reason for that change is basically with the reduction in square footage, we have a reduction in property value, and we needed to make the numbers work, and that's why the schedule has been tweaked a little bit, as you can see in the paperwork. But the maximums again are 1.5 and 1.5, $3 million. Another item I'm going to note on page 7 is just a reminder, and that's annual appropriation for the outlots. Each year, the City Council will annually appropriate the amount that is rebated to Fridley Theaters. This allows us to contract for the higher amount, the 1.5, but not count that total amount against our annual debt limit. We will only count the amount that the City Council certifies on an annual basis as the payment, which is the payment that we make to Fridley's. That helps us, and that helps Fridley's by being able to negotiate a higher number.
Anything else, Greg?
Up front. And those are really the major changes. You have copies of all of the exhibits as well. I'm happy to answer any questions on the contract, and we have Representative Russ Van Oersdale from Fridley Theaters that can certainly answer any questions the council has as well.
But I think we should hold questions until...
Absolutely, until after you've had a motion and second.
You have anything else, Greg?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution approving the development agreement with R.L. Fridley Theaters Incorporated and Fridley Properties LLC, authorizing tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement?
So moved.
Tom, you were first to the punch. Scott, you were second. Now is the time for discussion, council, or questions.
On page 3, under legal fees,
Yes.
changed urban renewal area to tax increment financing district. Just minor.
Doesn't matter, I mean, we have our urban renewal area is actually the entire city limits. The tax increment financing district is a specific area that, where the increment is generated, and that was a suggested change by Mr. Coulter.
Gregg, is another smaller change the amount of revenue streams?
The contract allows for 3 revenue streams. There's 6 outlots on the project. Instead of allowing for a revenue stream with each lot, as the developer originally requested, the city had originally requested a single stream for those outlots, a single stream of revenue or of increment being rebated to the developer, compromise of three streams. It's really more of a administrative issue than anything. It's easier for us and for the county to administrate than having individual streams for each lot.
Does that, when that kicks in, then if they get to pick when it's authorized,
Right.
basically?
The developer will be able to trigger when that stream is, or that stream begins. You know, if they have a smaller commercial project and want it to wait until a subsequent year when they had a larger project and then trigger the development at that point in time, that's when the increment would start.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other discussion, council? Okay, this is a roll call vote, beginning with Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Your Honor, I'd just like to thank Russ for attending again tonight and look forward to having the project completed.
Thank you, Russ.
Before January 15th, huh?
Very good.
Start date's Monday, right?
God willing, start date will, I think Jerry Salzberger would be very happy to be running out there in the middle of next week if possible.
Awesome, thanks again. Okay, item E, council, presented for city council's consideration, is a resolution setting a public hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract, cost estimate, and establishing the bid opening date for the project identified as, are you ready? T Hangar Apron Drainage Improvements at the municipal airport. Project improvements will include removing an existing French drain system and installing storm sewer intakes, storm sewer, and an outlet upstream of a proposed septic system manhole or existing oil and/or water separator. Prior to the soliciting of bids for this project, a public hearing is required. This public hearing will take place on Thursday, July 5th, 2012 at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So
So
moved.
moved.
We'll give that to Jeanette, and Phil, you're the second, okay? Any discussion, council? This is a roll call vote, starting with Jeanette.
Aye.
And Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Tom?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item F, presented for city council's consideration, is a request to approve the grant agreement for the municipal airport improvement project identified as Rehabilitate Airfield Pavements. The city was notified that the Federal Aviation Administration approved the application to rehabilitate the taxiway as requested with a split of 90% federal funding and 10% local funding. The grant agreement will permit the city to award the project with a total federal funding allocation of $71,825 inclusive of engineering fees. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Osama, and second, Tom. Any discussion, council? This is a voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item G, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the contract and bond for municipal airport improvements identified as rehabilitate airfield pavements. City Council awarded the contract for this project to High Brand Industrial Contractors in the amount of $52,889.83 at the May 17, 2012 City Council meeting. The award was subject to funding availability and notification from the Federal Aviation Administration. The city has received notification of funding through the FAA. At this time, it would be appropriate to approve the contract and bond from High Brand Industrial Contractors for this project. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Scott.
Second.
Second, Mark. Any discussion, council? And we're back to a roll call vote, beginning with Scott.
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And Osama?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item H, presented for City Council's consideration as a resolution reauthorizing the Muscatine Municipal Housing Agency to provide housing counseling services within its service area. In February 2007, City Council authorized changes to the Section 8 administrative policies allowing the MMHA to implement the Section 8 home ownership program and to provide housing, counseling, and education to participants. In December 2009, City Council accepted a comprehensive housing counseling grant in the amount of $6,674 funded by HUD and administered by the Iowa Finance Authority and the Iowa Home Ownership Education Program. By accepting the grant, the MMHA became certified by HUD and under the state housing finance agencies. At the end of the federal fiscal year 2012, October, the IFA chose not to submit a State Housing Council grant under the HUD's SHFA's provision, which caused the MMHA to be placed on an inactive list by HUD-approved housing counseling agencies. Since April 2012, the MMHA staff has been working with HUD's Housing Counseling Department in an effort to obtain certification for MMHA as an independent local housing counseling agency, or LHCA. A preliminary application was submitted to HUD for review on May 22, 2012. Based on that review, MMHA is requesting that City Council reauthorize the MMHA to provide housing counseling services in its service area or Muscatine County. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Is that you, Mark?
Yep.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion, council? This is a roll call vote, beginning with Mark.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
And Phil.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item I, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution to write off debts of certain former housing tenants. The total amount to be written off totals $1,525.27 and includes unpaid rents, damages, and maintenance charges. While these amounts are recommended for write-off this fiscal year, records of these amounts will be maintained and will be required to be paid back before any future housing assistance will be made available. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So move, Your Honor.
That would be Bob. Second? Second, Scott. Any discussion, council? This also is a roll call vote, beginning with Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
And Jeanette.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item J, presented for City Council's consideration, is a resolution accepting acquisitions for Phase 1 of the West Hill Sanitary and Storm Sewer Separation Project. This project is scheduled to begin this year. In order to complete Phase 1, temporary easements from 4 property owners must be acquired by the city. Negotiations to complete the easements have been conducted or continue to be conducted with the property owners. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
That's Jeanette. Second?
Second.
Second, Scott. Any discussion, council? A roll call vote beginning with Jeanette
Aye.
and Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
And Tom.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item K, presented for city council's consideration is a resolution accepting easements for the Harrison Street Extension project. The project is planned to begin and be completed this year. In order to complete the work, temporary and permanent easements, rights-of-way, and other property acquisitions from 5 property owners must be acquired by the city. Negotiations to complete the easements have been conducted or continue to be conducted with the affected property owners. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Tom, and a second?
So moved, Your Honor.
Be Bob. Any discussion, council? Roll call vote beginning with Tom
Aye.
and Jeanette,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Osama,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
and Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item L, presented for city council's consideration, is a request to approve the city's insurance renewal effective July 1st, 2012. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Phil.
Second.
Second, Mark. Any discussion, council?
Yes, I would like to request additional information. I mean, I understand that there's nothing we can do about market conditions, and overall, a 9% increase in cost doesn't sound terrible, but the loss ratios in 2 or 3 cases seem pretty high. And perhaps at an in-depth meeting, we could have some conversation or an update about what city and staff can do to mitigate some of the loss experience.
We can certainly do that, and regarding the police and fire insurance, I mean, that's one injury that was in 2010, I believe, off the top of my head. It's a rotator cuff, and then that rotator cuff was re-injured during therapy. But it's basically just one injury that occurred 2 years ago that's causing the majority of that increase. We did discuss it, and we could bring it back at an in-depth session with the insurance committee. Stephanie, why don't you come on up to the podium? I was there for part of the meeting. Hal Larson and Mark Huddleston are 2 of the members of the committee, the insurance committee, and they had brought up one option, and maybe Stephanie could just briefly touch on that option that was rejected.
Sure. One option was to request from the insurance carrier that we be able to increase our deductible to help lower the premium cost. And we did contact the insurance company to see if that was an option for us, and it is not. The policy that we currently have with Cigna is a grandfathered policy. They don't even offer that type of coverage to new customers anymore, and so if we would make any changes to the plan, we wouldn't be eligible to have this policy anymore. So, and the other options were more expensive than the Cigna option. So,
and then just briefly for folks as well, why do we utilize this for police and fire?
For police and fire, we utilize it because, excuse me, one is our current work comp carrier will not write workers' compensation insurance for police and fire, and even if we could get it, it's extremely expensive. And then the other option, of course, would be to self-insure, which in a good year would work in our favor, but in a case like this where we have one really expensive claim would work really negatively for us.
But we could put together an in-depth session to talk about some of the things that we've done historically, because you'll notice like the work comp ratio is down and has been historically improving, and there's programs in place that HR and the departments have been working on to improve that, and the trend shows that historically it has. In the case of police and fire, it's one injury that has caused the current increase, but we'll work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Anything else, Tom? Okay. Council?
I was just remembering that, or from an earlier conversation with Gregg and Nancy, that I think in spite of this increase that we'd like to avoid, we're still within $20,000 of the budgeted amount for this year.
That was my guess, and Nancy did a quick review before us prior to the meeting, and it is I lost my number, $31,118. And part of that is because we reduced our overall budgeted amount by $10,000, because historically they've, agent estimates have come in high. But in this case, came in a little higher than expected.
Thank you.
Council, anyone else? Thank you, Stephanie. This is a voice vote, folks. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Are we, I thought we were going to table this. We're not tabling this?
It's
We're not going-
effective July 1st.
I'm just asking for additional information, perhaps at the
We
end
didn't
of
ask
the
for a
session.
table.
Okay.
Okay, item M. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the city's uniform contract. 2 bids were received, with the low bid provided by CCP Industries, who is able to provide all of the requested clothing items. The low bid was determined by applying the bid prices to last year's order. CCP's bid ordering the same items as last year totaled $15,504. The city spent approximately $24,000 on uniforms last year. This will be a 3-year contract. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Scott, in a second?
Second.
Second, was that you, Phil?
Yeah.
Any discussion, council? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item N, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request from the Fire Department for authorization to submit Department of Homeland Security grant application. The grant funding in the amount of $70,400, if approved, will be used for apparatus-mounted diesel exhaust removal systems for fire department vehicles. The city's match, 10%, would be $7,040. The deadline for submission is July 6th, 2012. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
Muscatine 302.
So moved.
That would be Jeanette. In a second?
Second,
Second, Osama. And any discussion, council?
You have any questions on the grant? Happy to answer those. If you recall, this was related to the fire station. We removed a portion of the fire station apparatus in an effort to reduce those costs, and we were going to apply for the Assistance Firefighter Grant for this equipment at this time.
Any more discussion, council? Appreciate it. No discussion, right, council? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item O, presented for City Council's consideration is a request from the Police Department for authorization to purchase training equipment. In April 2012, the Police Department received a $20,000 donation from the Grain Processing Corporation for the purchase of simunition training equipment. A bid was received from Ray O'Hare and Company in the amount of $10,785 for the simunition training equipment, and from Keeper's Company in the amount of $8,653 for the purchase of the G17-T Glock training pistols. There are no other suppliers for either the simunition training equipment or the Glock training pistols. The Police Department is requesting the issuance of purchase orders for these purchases. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
I'll give that to Phil in a second. Osama. Council discussion. Officer Urick, am I pronouncing that those terms correctly? All right, thank you. Thank you. Voice vote, council. Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item P, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request to approve the amendment to the Business Office Operations Agreement for Greenwood Cemetery. The only requested change to the current agreement is the addition of 2 years to the agreement, July 1st, 2012 to June 30th, 2014. The current service provider, Iowa Memorial Granite Company, is paid $600 per month and has met the expectations of the agreement as outlined in the terms and conditions. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Motion by Mark.
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Phil. Any discussion, council? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Q, presented for City Council's consideration as a request to approve the amendment to the retail sales and service agreement and lease for Greenwood Cemetery. The requested changes to the current agreement include extending the agreement by 2 years, July 1st, 2012 to June 30th, 2014, and lowering the percentage of commissions paid to the city for gross receipts over $500 from 23% to 21%. The current service provider is Iowa Memorial Granite Company. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
It's Phil. And the second?
Second.
Jeanette Chavit's got to the punch. Any discussion, council?
I was just wondering what dollar amount that would be equal to roughly. I didn't see that number in there.
It depends on sales, but
I saw the 11 to 14,000 annually, but I didn't know if that
that
was all related to the commission over $500 or not.
It depends on sales. I'll let Rich address that, but Rich's comment as well was we're hoping that the reduction in percentage versus an increase in the base fee will be an incentive to get additional sales as well.
We had substantial conversations with the vendor on both the office operations side and the retail side. We would rather had gone, which we did, and the vendor agreed to it, with the lower of the percentage instead of increasing the office set fee. That allows for more of a performance-based fee structure for them. The vendor guarantees us that granite sales have skyrocketed for them. The economy in granite sales has boosted them, so we have great sales this year in that area. 2% difference, annual sales are about $11,000 on those commissions, so whatever that percentage would be. It's a good operation for us. When we downsized the staff out there at the cemetery, we were able to not drop any service levels by also raising revenues to the cemetery itself. So that fund is stronger than it has been for years. Any other questions?
Nope, thank you.
Any more discussion, council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, under communications, it's now time for communications from the council. We'll start with Councilman Lorette.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor, thank you.
Phil.
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Scott.
Nothing, thank you.
Osama.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Bob.
Mayor, I'd like to ask the city administrator, what's the status of the Mississippi Mist?
Mississippi Mist, the contractor is going to be on site. Were they on site yet? Go right ahead, but we're expecting it to be completed before July 4th.
The contractor has been on and off site. It's in the process of the pump being rebuilt, the main shaft being restructured, and the mounting plate being redone. We're hopeful middle of next week that it'll be reinstalled. We're hoping by the end of next week it'll be open for the public.
Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome.
One more question for you, Greg. The status of the new fire station.
The fire station, they are doing testing at this point in time. We'll be scheduling a final walkthrough, and they're expecting to be in the site in July. The architect and our city attorney is aware of it as well, and being copied on the information, is working on a change order at this point in time, an ad that'll address the cracks and the warranties on those cracks. And that's the biggest thing that we're working on right now, is to make sure that we get all of that finalized before we accept the project and figure out exactly how we're going to be covered on those. And that is yet to be done, and it's part of the punch list that needs to be completed prior to acceptance are the cracks, the stain, and the seal. But you should be seeing a change order here shortly to address several of those items. But they expect to be in the facility early July.
Do you have any idea when a projected open house might happen?
Once we get everything moved in and on site, probably August at the earliest. So.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bob? Jeanette?
I have nothing, thank you.
Tom?
Nothing
By the
this
way,
evening.
very nice, attractive shirt you're wearing.
Thank you. Nothing this evening, thank you.
All right. Greg?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
And Fran?
Mayor, I just have to tell you that you did a really good job reading item 11H.
Well, thank you, Fran.
Actually, we had condensed that, but I must not have hit the save button. So all the LCHAs and the MMWAs and MMHAs, you did a really good job.
Well, thank you, thank you. I would like to make a comment. I've had the pleasure the past couple of weeks of attending several functions in and around Muscatine and one in Des Moines, and that was, the results of that were somewhat disappointing, but, you know, it's another day, we'll move forward. But I'd like to say that, in fact, this afternoon at 5 o'clock, Lewis Industries, formerly known as Lewis Brothers, had an open house. Mr. Phelan and I were there, and it's just great to be a part of a community where the businesses are so proud of what they're doing today, what they did yesterday, and the Community Foundation had their annual recognition dinner the other evening. It just does my heart good to see such a vital and healthy community, and we live in that today. So I hope you are all as appreciative as I am. Anyone else, council? Final go around? Any other business?
Move to adjourn?
Motion by Councilman Bynum. Meeting is adjourned.
Thought Osama's leaving or what?
You hesitated, Osama.
Don't inhale. Don't inhale.
I hate it when small things make a big noise, you know? It's like